Okay, thank you. This is the May 11th, 2021 meeting of the South Windsor Energy Committee. It's a virtual meeting. We're having a little trouble with a couple of our members getting in on WebEx, so right now we don't have a quorum. But we'll try to have at least some of the reports and discussion items started while we work on that. Debbie, you have access to the participant list and can pick up the roll call from that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And we can't approve the minutes, although I did have a minor correction on the minutes. On page, or item 5D, sub-item, well, below item C, it says Chairperson Wagner informed the committee that NorCap South virtual meeting is in its 4th year. And then it says in the last 2 years, and I should say in 2020, the electric rates went down for 5 months. So, and I'll forward that to you in an email if you didn't pick that up. So,
I think I got that, Steve.
Our next meeting would be June 8th, and I'm hoping that Hank, you can share that meeting. I'll be in Texas. I'll try to come in from there, but it's usually better since it's probably going to be a live meeting in the Madden room, right, Debbie?
Yes. Yeah.
It'll be better if we can have a chair who's actually present in the room, and I'll try to participate. Is everybody seeing my screen, which is jumping around a lot right now?
Yep, yes. I see it.
Okay. Going on, I don't know, let's see, I forgot whether, did Hank respond? Can you, can you chair that?
I don't think Hank is on right now. He was on, but I don't see him on there anymore.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we'll work on that. So first of all, under item 5A, our text amendment for electric vehicle charging was approved. I think we've gone over that in enough detail. We don't need to go over it again, but it was approved unanimously. They made relatively few changes to that. One of which was we were requiring electric, level 1 charging on lampposts, and we decided that was kind of awkward. It wasn't clear that all the lampposts could accept that, or we had a way of billing for that, because lampposts, if they're owned by Eversource, are actually charged by a formula, not by meters. And so that was made an option. And also, they don't need to be, if you put level 1 charging on a lamppost, you don't need to make it a restricted space. So I don't know how many people will take advantage of that. Does introduce a cost for whoever wants to do that, but it is at least available. Good news on the solar station, our police station solar canopies. We'll be applying for ZREC this month. I don't know, Jeff, if you have any more input on that.
Not really. I need to get a form signed by the town manager and back to Green Skies. And I'm going to meet with the police chief in Green Skies later this week just to go over some more details of construction. I guess the chief went over to Vernon and heard some of the issues they have with their solar canopies, and he wanted to talk to Green Skies about that.
Oh, okay, great. What kind of issues were they having?
I guess they have, so they're not as much of a protection from the weather elements as the police originally thought, so that was one issue. And then conversely, they're concerned about ice forming under the canopies because in the winter there won't be as much sun hitting the pavement under them.
Okay. Interesting. I guess I kind of thought like, we knew we weren't gonna get, you're not gonna get 100% protection under, an open carport of any type. But then the
Right,
issue of
so-
ice
so-
is,
We're gonna have a discussion about these things.
okay. Then on the Platte Hill virtual net metering project, that had to go to the siting council, because there were issues with they had concerns about the, wetlands treatment there. They have approved that unanimously as of last Friday. So this is, hot off the press news, and, Lodestar is gonna get to work building that. So I think we're looking at seeing that coming online, very early next year, if not late this year. Now I had two items on the agenda for discussion. The municipal energy plan and, Library in Connecticut's, EV readiness toolkit program. So I thought with the energy plan, we wanted to have a very brief discussion. So what I did was I kind of thought we would have a brainstorm. If there anything, this is just the table of contents, and you probably don't have that document in front of you. But I'm just thinking if there are any sections that we think we would want to work on a lot, we can go into fine detail, like updating the recent energy use. And the idea would be to go through each of these sections and say, well, anything we need to do to change these. And I guess one other thing is we did set some goals. Where did that go? That are kind of in the front. So at some point, I would think we'd want to look at our goals. We may have achieved some of them or most of them. Even by these are all goals for 2023. We should, see how we're doing in one respect, and maybe we've already achieved them, and maybe we need to look at, updating them with respect to the governor's and the legislature's latest actions. So chime in. I'll just put update on some of these simple ones. Do we need an update on the renewable energy? Are we, we've basically been focusing on two things. I think we got more data. I'm going to put review on the goals. Energy monitoring, we've been using Portfolio Manager, which is, something that the Sustainable Connecticut likes you to use. But I got to tell you, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of knowledge involved in using it, which I have developed, but I feel like every few months I have to go to the town and ask them to do some work to help me do that. And I don't mind doing the work, but I'm thinking like, if I were to say resign this post at some point, who would take over that? So it really ought to be more sustainable as a form of monitoring. And I think like Jeff, you guys, you monitor energy in some way on the town side, independent of Portfolio Manager.
Yeah, I think we have spreadsheets of energy use, I believe. The thing is, we get a separate bill for every building every month. So yeah, it's a lot of data.
I mean, one nice thing about Portfolio Manager is the stuff is automatically downloaded. I can show you what that looks like. I mean, this is the Orchard Hill School, and you can see the natural gas. If there was oil in the past, you'd see the oil. Of course, that's a new building. And you can see the electric use, and here you can start to see the solar. So the solar I have to put in manually, the oil I have to put in manually. And that requires, you know, staff interaction every time we want to update those two things. The gas and the electric come in automatically. That's kind of cool. You can see that as we've added the solar here, the electric is plunging the regular electric bill. So we're getting some benefit out of that solar, and the rates are like 3 cents a kilowatt hour cheaper for solar. So, I mean, it's, you know, you definitely can track this stuff. It's kind of cool, but I'd either like to find someone else who's willing to be a backup for me, or again, not because I mind the work, but just because I think philosophically, if this is a government function, we ought to have some other way of handling that. So maybe we need to have a discussion, getting back to what we're doing on the agenda. Peak demand reduction, it's kind of cool. I think the solar is reducing the demand on these schools. I don't know, chime in if you got any ideas here.
Yeah, Daryl would be monitoring any energy use of the schools. I'm not sure how, Daryl, how you do that.
So just getting into solar now, it's getting a little bit more complicated, like Steve has said, and we're working on trying to come up, just like Steve is, with a better way of doing this.
I mean, one thing would be to allow, you know, to train Karen Darlene how to do the portfolio manager part. It's a few data entries every month. You know, oil, I think you're still using oil down in at Ellsworth.
Correct. Ellsworth and Old Orchard Hill.
Uh-huh. And then the gas, the solar entry has to be put in manually, at least so far. The other stuff comes in automatically.
Steve, where does the electric and gas come from? Do they come from Eversource?
Yeah. You sign up for in each building. You sign up for an automatic monthly download, basically, and it populates all of the buildings that we have.
So I must take it off the bills that they produce. But like our bill, my home bill records the amount of solar I produce every month. That's not on the Eversource bills for the, I guess the schools, or not, because we've got a PPE with those, and they're not even run through Eversource. They're run through Green Skies or somebody else.
Well, yeah, right. Now the bill reflects the net so far, and at least because it's winter, the net has been still a positive bill from Eversource. But you know, you can see every single one of these facilities. You can see the last date we got a problem with the garage. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe the oil. I haven't updated. You can see every single building. Some of them are no longer in service, like old PR Smith. So that ended in January last year, or 2 years ago, and so on. But yeah, this is all automatic, except for oil and solar.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to get the solar to come in automatically. We'd have to talk to Green Skies, I guess, about that.
Yeah, I think Daryl's also trying to get you know, they have a service that they use, but so far it hadn't been able to come in as a, you know, on the web. They send it, it's in the bill. As a matter of fact, I'll show you one of the bills. I was going to show that to you later. Bill is kind of cool. It shows every single day of the month. You can see all the charges. We must have had some snow back on the 27th of December. Or what? No, this is January. So yeah, we had a little snow there. So you get the amount of kilowatt hours you use. up here. You get the rate, which is less than we're paying for our external supplier. They're above 7 cents. I think it's, I forget what it's, this is like 4.5 cents. So they're like 7.5 cents. So you can see day to day what we're producing, but that only comes on this paper bill or PDF bill. It doesn't come yet over a website. And I understand they're working on it. Karen's been talking to them, Karen Delene, and we're hoping that that works out. But even then, I think it'll still be a manual process of looking up this number and typing it into Portfolio Manager. So like, I go into Portfolio Manager and I go into the electric solar meter. I put in this data by hand, which Karen Darlene has provided to me. All right. Anyway, let's see. We're getting a little off track here, but tracking is kind of an issue. So that's something we're going to discuss. So these are all the grants and incentives. I don't know. I guess we would update this section with the new, you know. So then we talk about, there's a section on fleet, vehicle, and equipment management. And I think I mean, Jeff's working on an equipment plan. So, with Jim McPherson. So I think we probably want to have electric vehicle charging. So there's some tracking. Tracking is easy. You just ask for the data from Eversource every once in a while, once a year. Are there any other residential programs? I think we would add solar for all.
So, Steve,
Yeah.
can we go back to the fleet for a minute?
Yep.
So I think we need to put on here, we just need to set a goal for getting some electric vehicles and a time frame, which is what Jim and I are working on, but we don't have that worked out. It's going to take some time to work that out. So before we even get into charging, we need to, like I said, set a goal and communicate with that with the council so they're on board to get some electric vehicles in the fleet.
Yeah. And that's really part of this whole Live Green effort.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, depending on when we finally issue this thing, we may just say we're going to make a plan, or we may have a plan that in 5 years, X percentage of our vehicles are electric.
Yeah, we don't turn over vehicles all that often, so it's gonna take some time.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't just throw a switch and suddenly they're all electric.
Unfortunately not.
So in the residential energy, the only one I would add was solar for all. I guess there's also the electric vehicles in the multi-units. Anything else we need to change? I mean, Solarize and Energize were just programs that were partially successful, but when we ran them as a town, they weren't that great. I don't know, maybe we want to diminish these. I mean, last time I checked, and it's probably almost been a year, there were 400 solar houses in town, and they keep happening, so. Oh, we got solar for all right there. Anything else we ought to be doing in residential in terms of programs or ideas, anybody? What about on the business side?
Hey, Steve, Dan,
Yeah.
I got able to get on, but you have to use my phone.
Okay. Oh, I see your face.
Oh, probably sideways.
No, it's even right side up.
Oh, good. So I'm listening.
Okay, so what we've been doing is very quickly going through the table of contents of the municipal energy plan
Okay.
and trying to decide, where we need to do more work, but not doing any of the work.
Okay.
So we talked about businesses. They've got the new zoning requirements. I think the projects that are coming in, they seem like they're on board with the EV regulations, so that's good.
Okay. Perfect.
Are we aware of any other areas? This one here is kind of old.
I'm trying to get in using my computer, so ignore me for a second. I'm listening.
Okay. Supporting, I think we should record the the EV zoning in here.
Yeah, I think you need to put another one in there.
What's that?
You're right. We need to put something in there about the whole EV charging stuff.
Right. There are areas in the ordinance area that we may want to look into too. Discuss possible ordinances and tax incentives with the council. Any other ideas there in, supporting electric vehicles in the zoning or EV or whatever? Are there any other areas in zoning that we think we ought to work on?
What are the regulations for solar arrays, ground mounted?
Okay, we have two separate sections. One is for what, we kind of call them small, which would be what you put on your roof or what someone might, either a house or a business might put in the backyard. And then there's a large section for someone who wants to build a solar farm in town. We haven't had any come in under large since that was implemented. There's been a few discussions that have been shot down for issues that people have with converting farmland to solar and stuff like that. But, so all of the action, we've definitely been using the small solar regulation. And we even updated the height limit because we were concerned you couldn't do tracking solar with the original height limit we'd put in, but nobody came in and did tracking anyway. So it's there. It seems to be working. I don't think zoning has precluded anybody from doing anything in that area. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. So, Athena went to all of the, departments, you know, at least the municipal and, Board of Ed departments, and updated, actions that we've taken, but this is probably an area we need to review again. We were able to report to the town council where we were back when the plan was issued. We had a bunch of actions that we were planning. Like in the sewer system, a lot of work is still planned. Some of the work, like on the, one of the pump stations, the Clark Street pump station, their energy use is down by 13% now, thanks to, just some changes to the pumps that they use, the motors. They have something now called a variable frequency drive, which means the motor doesn't run, you know, the original idea was you wait until a sump fills up to a certain level and then you pump it out at full speed. What they're doing now is they're continuously pumping at low speed, and there's some basic physics that says it's going to take a lot less energy at low speed to pump the same volume over more time. Takes less energy than to pump it fast and then stop. So that variable frequency drive mechanism does that. I guess we could keep the pledge. This is just some documents, conversion factors. I think we definitely need to update this websites. So, all right, so we went through that really quick, but maybe we breezed over some things that people have as a burning issue that they'd like to have us work on as a plan. Athena's just saying her video froze. I hope she's able to hear us. And Scott asked if it could be an internet issue, or she asked Scott or Mike. Okay, Athena can hear us, but not see the video. Oh, sorry about that.
Steve, Deb, I'm on my town computer. Deb, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you.
Thank you. I just want to be sure it's working okay. Thank you.
Due to low bandwidth conditions, Athena's not able to have video. That's the message I'm getting. Oh boy. I don't know if Sherm ever got in. All right.
I believe
I
Sherm is here. He's listed that he's here.
I think we're going to be glad to get back to in-person meetings. So back to our agenda. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. to noon, those of us who are involved with this Live Green Connecticut EV Readiness Toolkit have a webinar which they're calling a clarity session. And I think this is a special meeting just set up for South Windsor, but it will affect all of the projects that we're working on. And just to remind people, we were working with the municipal fleet. When I say with Jeff Doolittle, I copied some early text, but that also has Jim McPherson working on it. Zoning, we've already done that. So I've basically offered to help other communities if they're going to work on zoning. MJ Hockenberry had volunteered to work on that. I haven't talked to her since she resigned from the council. I think she's still interested in doing this. Not necessary for her to be a counselor in order to participate. And she lives in a typical development where this kind of thing would be helpful. public and destination charging. I think we had Larry Brown down for that. I'm gonna look at the minutes and remind myself.
That's correct,
Yeah.
Steve.
What?
That's correct. You have Larry
Yeah.
Brown.
And then, you know, parking and enforcement, really, I don't have a lot of work. It's not a lot of work you want to do. If we have issues with enforcement, we'll bring it up later. First responders, even though we didn't list it as something we're interested in, Athena came along and offered to contact the fire department. And you've had a series of emails, one of which I have up here. And Athena, you're on the phone, right? Okay, well, Athena can hear us. She asked Kevin Cooney, who's the fire chief, whether he'd be interested in an electric fire truck. And he wrote back an interesting email, which I'll read out loud for those who are on the phone. The South Windsor Fire Department has basically looked into the issues related to, in this case, electric fire trucks, but they don't have a specific plan because they're very expensive. And as far as the fire trucks are concerned, only one manufacturer is even building a concept type truck, nothing more than that. And I think we've seen one of those in some of the webinars that Live Green has said, but yeah, I agree. We're probably not the right people to be on the bleeding edge of that. As to other projects, they've been replacing bulbs with energy efficient types. HVAC systems are very expensive to replace, and they're going to work with the Capital Projects Committee on that. Jan Snyder, I think you're still chairing that?
No, Andy is. I'm vice chair.
You're the vice chair.
Yeah, we've been
Okay.
tag teaming back and forth, so.
But you're very influential in that one. That's what we're counting on.
I know, it's my thing.
And they keep reviewing their invoices from Eversource. So I'm thinking, maybe we should go back and talk to them about some of their other vehicles. Like, do they have a pickup truck or, the vehicle that the fire chief has, or some of the other workers. And even then, maybe we just say, okay, Jeff Doolittle is working with Jim McPherson on a plan for the municipality that's going to be several years in the making. Wouldn't the fire department like to be included in that? It's not a commitment. It just gets all their vehicles on the same list. And everybody kind of works together to plan that evolution. So anyway, that was the thought there. I don't know, Athena, I'm going to look in the chat, see if she's added anything.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there's something other stuff there in the chat. But we can't see it. You have to do it.
Yeah. I don't see, other than she told me she can hear but not see the video. So Athena, at some point, give me a call if you're still listening, and we can maybe go back to Chief Cooney and get him involved with Jeff Doolittle's effort. I don't know, Jeff, how do you feel about that? I mean, we tend to be very separate from the fire department.
Yeah, that's correct. They've always had their own vehicle replacement schedules, but I can certainly talk to them about it. They do work with the council, obviously, and capital projects to budget for those vehicles.
How about the schools and the town? How are we working together in that respect? I don't know how many vehicles the schools have, but.
Again, the schools, I think Daryl would know better than I, have their own vehicles and they take care of them themselves. And of course, buses are contracted out, bus services.
Yeah, we at the schools, we only have unfortunately, I don't have the exact number, maybe 5 vehicles for the maintenance staff that and they're on a lease to own, and we will start pursuing electric vehicles as we move forward. But they're all just pickup trucks or small vans.
Well, I mean, those are the kind of things that are easiest to convert to electric.
I agree. We will start looking into that for our future.
So what's happening right now is that Jeff Doolittle and Jim McPherson are putting down a list of vehicles, getting some of the data, like, how much fuel they consume and when they're expected to retire. It's a long-term, multi-year review of when do the opportunities come up for switching. And I mean, maybe we should collaborate on that list.
Yeah, I agree. I'll work with Jeff on that. I agree. I think it's a great solution for the future.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Okay. So we didn't actually, we should have, well, we've invited MJ to tomorrow's meeting. And then the public and destination charging, we had Karen Johnson, who's one of the real estate people at Evergreen Walk. By the way, have you been over and seen, has anybody been over and seen the EV chargers at Evergreen Walk? I just went by there the other day.
Where is it, Steve?
You know where the ice cream shop used to be?
Yeah.
It's sort of behind there, tucked in. You have to kind of wind around the back there to find it, but it's.
Oh, I thought
like,
there was one behind the Apple store. I think there's one behind.
Yeah,
the Apple
right.
store.
It's more like behind the Apple store.
Yeah, I've seen it there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one Tesla charger and one generic charger that I've seen.
Cool.
So, I mean, I was trying to interest them in putting up a real destination charging site like there is over, like Tesla has over by ABC, which is the Artisanal Burger Company. Artisanal, or whatever the right word is. But a generic charging area ought to be a way to bring business into that place. I don't know what the interest level is. We'll get back to them. So we've talked about first responders. We talked about public and destination charging. What are the issues that we need to bring up tomorrow with this group that's going to be supposedly helping us, the Live Green Connecticut group? Any particular issues that you could think of?
What is the meeting tomorrow, Steve? I don't have it, so I don't think I have
Oh,
to
you
be
didn't-
there.
Yeah, you didn't sign up to be on that team, so
Oh, good. Okay, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something. Thank you.
you're welcome to join us, however.
Actually, I have 2 meetings tomorrow, so.
Okay. By the way, Athena just wrote back, I'll continue to work with the fire department as required. So thank you, Athena.
So, Steve, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So, as we're trying to move in this direction, when we don't have the infrastructure for the charging stations, what goes first? Do we have the goal of getting the infrastructure in for charging stations before we start doing vehicles for municipal purposes? Or because if you buy a vehicle and you don't have a charging station, you're.
Well, let me put that in this list I've got here: coordinating charging stations.
Yeah, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know that because obviously there's an investment we have to make.
I think the big investment is in the vehicle. The charging station is not a big investment. So I would think the vehicle would come first, unless we were to choose to invest in public charging stations. And the issue is, well, when the town or Board of Ed gets a electric vehicle, are they gonna use up that public charging station to the extent that it's not really available to the public, which we don't want to happen.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff, but my question comes up, like I have some buildings where we'd have to put a whole new service or transformer in order to accommodate some of this stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think you would have to have a charging station at every building, every school necessarily.
No, I'm not saying that at all. But like if I was, for example, like my fleet is stationed at Ellsworth, and in order to start getting vehicles, I have to consider that I have to do something to the infrastructure at that building prior to getting vehicles.
Yeah, so that would be part of the plan, would be to look at that, or to look at moving those vehicles to another school where you did have better infrastructure.
Okay. Yep. We just have to have that thought process in that whole thing that as we go along. Is what is my statement. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's certainly something I've been, worried about. Okay, we're gonna convert these vehicles. We better have some place to charge them. There was another issue I had in my head. Some of these vehicles go home, right?
Actually, very few go home.
Okay. Does the manager take his vehicle home?
Manager has his own vehicle, is my understanding. Councilor Snyder could chime in. So he gets an allowance for his vehicle. So he buys his own vehicle and uses that money to pay for it. So while he takes it home, it's technically his vehicle.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to just write in vehicles that go home.
So I know the fire marshal has a vehicle that goes home.
Mhm.
I don't know if the police chief might have one that goes home.
Mhm.
Maybe the director of recreation. None of the pool cars at the town hall go to anybody's homes. But I take that back. Clay Major has a vehicle he takes home. There's not very many. There's a few.
So the issue there is if they're taking them home and then they're charging them at home, how do we reimburse them for that expense? Or do we just make sure they have a place to charge it when they get to work?
I think we do the latter. We make sure they can charge it at work.
Okay. Because it would be a very fancy charging system that would say, okay, now I'm charging the town vehicle, charge it to this account.
Yeah, I don't think we could do that. I think they'd
Yeah.
have to seek reimbursement, and it'd still be difficult to keep track of.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I don't
good.
know that you can, I would agree. They would have to use the charging during the day, and at the town property, the town would have to provide that.
So then the other thing is, here we are, a forward-thinking town, all concerned about energy and climate, and we start installing these stations in our parking lots, and they all say municipal use only. So I think we'd probably be going to the council and saying, well, we want to give the fire marshal a vehicle, a place to charge his vehicle. Do we want to accommodate the public? Maybe not over there in that particular location, but outside of town hall, if there was somebody, Jeff or Clay Major's vehicles being charged, should there be a parking place next to it where the public can charge their vehicle?
Yeah, I would think there would be separate charging stations. So the fire marshal is a good example. His charging station would be at the firehouse where his office is, and that wouldn't really be available for public use. It could even be one that's attached to the building, and labeled as such. It's not necessarily for public use. Clay would be a little different because he's at the annex. You could have two chargers there, one for the public and one for him side by side if you wanted to, I guess.
And then the question is, we got to figure out how to charge the people for their use of that charger. If we, unless the council in their infinite wisdom wants to give away the electricity,
Yeah,
we probably want to figure out some way of charging the public
So-
when they use.
so the two models I've seen are either chargers or free. The chargers and Evergreen Walk's a good example. So the chargers behind the Apple Store are free. They say there's a 4-hour limit. And, you know, I figured out once if you were to charge for 4 hours, you know, current rate of electricity, you might spend a couple of dollars. It's not a lot of money. The chargers down at the apartments are pay chargers by one of the services. There's several, 3 or 4 major services that put in chargers, and they operate them, and you get a swipe card that you can either use as a debit card or you can just set up an account on it. And you would have to have an account with that service to use that charger and pay for it through your account. So those are the two models that I've seen out in the greater area.
So if I buy an electric car and I go over to Evergreen Walk and plug it in, they're not going to charge me for that?
Not at the stops. If you go behind the apartments, you would get charged for it.
Okay, I was looking for the ones, you're talking about the new apartments in Evergreen Walk?
Yes,
They have chargers there?
there's one charger by the clubhouse, I believe.
Okay. I'll have to go look for that. All right, any other issues that we need to bring up tomorrow with these people that we, you know, I mean, one thing I'm thinking is some of these, like the municipal fleet, and the first responders have some shared discussions, the shuttle bus, you know, we're all talking about how are we going to get this plug-in, how are we going to get these chargers installed across the municipality on municipal property? So they all kind of have a shared interest. The schools, the town hall. You know, when we do it, we might want to look at, you know, looking for one grant to do a small number of these. So that would be one area where maybe these different themes can share effort. All right, any other issues that you'd want to worry about as we start to roll out electric vehicles in town or promote them?
But I think my opinion is, given that there's a fair number of privately owned electric vehicles in town, I think it would be beneficial for us to try and pursue some public charging stations now. We have no town-owned electric vehicles. It looks like we're some years away from that. So that could be another effort down the road.
Okay. All right, anything else on this agenda item that you'd like to discuss, any of you? Okay, that's item E. We have under miscellaneous, anything people want to bring up under miscellaneous? And there's always item 7.
Deb's raised her hand.
Yeah, Steve, do you want to go back and do the minutes?
Oh, yeah, the minutes. Let me see what our participation is right now. See if I can figure that out, how to do that. I'm
think
gonna
you have
stop
7
sharing. I
people.
think if I stop sharing,
Yeah, you have 7 or 8 people.
yeah, okay. So, Debbie did send out the minutes. Oh, hi, Sherm, I see you there. We have a quorum, and we have a motion on the minutes or any changes.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, and there was a minor change that came up earlier. Just one couple words in the middle there, very minor. So, any other discussion? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed or adjourning or abstaining? Okay, thank you. The minutes are approved. Then there's one other item on the agenda, number 7.
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Wagner?
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.